It's your Southern Utah Sports Report for October 3rd, 2025. Welcome back on in, everybody. Southern Utah Sports Report. Caden Formaster here with you, and we are diving into today's Southern Utah sporting news. Let's get right on into it, and there's so much to talk about today. First thing on the list, we've got some Region 9 soccer and volleyball to get on into. Let's go with the soccer first. Region 9 girls soccer was in action last night. Now, last night, there were 3 different games going on all across the region. First up, let's talk Crimson Cliffs and Dixie. This game was played at Crimson Cliffs, and it was all Crimson Cliffs. 4-0 was the final score of this game. Macy Woolley with 2 goals, Kennedy Madsen with 2 assists as well, and a shutout as well. So you got to give her a lot of credit here. Ali Van Gilder with the goal, Kenya Alofapo with a goal as well. So all across the board, it was Crimson Cliffs getting it done. They improved to 12-4 on the season. Dixie falls to 5-9. We'll go over some of the standings of the Region 9 girls soccer coming up in just a little bit. But Snow Canyon and Cedar faced off as well. And this one ended in a tie. I'm not a fan of ties, but welcome to the world of soccer. There are ties here. Cedar got the first goal. It was early on in the very first half of play. Tylee Nielsen, who is the lead goal getter for Cedar, gets the first one. Lottie Smith gets one for Snow Canyon in the second. They go to 2 overtimes. And then in a shootout, it was Snow Canyon. Snow Canyon did take it here. So technically, Snow Canyon gets the win in the shootout. They win with a 4-3 in the shootout. But again, anytime it comes down to it with a shootout, that's always a lot of work. It's an exhausting game. And Cedar and Snow Canyon, man, you guys took it all the way. All right, let's go to Hurricane and Pineview. And it was Hurricane getting the win here. They win 3-2. And this game ended up going to overtime, but an overtime goal sealed it for the Tigers. And it was Michaela Stewart who had 2 goals and an assist. Elle Jensen had a goal as well. And for Pineview, it was Ashley Reynosa and Peyton Haymore with a couple of goals. But again, this one goes to overtime, and Hurricane would win it there. Let's take a look at the RPI for girls soccer just to see how things are shaping up right now for state coming up here shortly. As of right now, Snow Canyon stays on top in region at least. They are number 2 in the state. Ridgeline's number 1. Snow Canyon is number 2, but the top team in Region 9. Crimson Cliffs is the next Region 9 team, and they are in spot number 6. Desert Hills is in 7th. Then you have to jump down a little bit. Cedar's in 15th. We have Hurricane in 17th. Dixie is in 19th. And Pineview down in 26th. So soccer's, again, a little bit spread out. If you've been watching the Southern Utah Sports Report, you'll know that we've been talking a lot of soccer. Soccer's a little more spread out when it comes to how the region is set up. And volleyball, though, volleyball is pretty tight with a lot of Region 9 teams in the top half of the state. Let's get on into some Region 9 volleyball as well. Now, not really anything from last night. So there wasn't a whole ton to report on from last night. We do have a few things to talk about though when it comes to the RPI. So let's get on into it. Let's just see where everyone's standing right now. Just a quick update. Desert Hills is number 2 in the state. Crimson Cliffs is in 6th. Followed by Cedar in 8th. Hurricane is in 9th. Dixie is in 10th. Snow Canyon 13th. Pineview 14th. So every single school in the top 14 right now, which is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive spot to be. So that's how things are shaping up right now in the world of volleyball and soccer. Let's move on in to high school football. There's a lot of high school football going on tonight. First up, we've got Desert Hills versus Pineview. I'm going to be on the broadcast for this game, which I'm super excited about. I was at Pineview last week. I've seen them multiple times now. This is the first time that I have seen this Desert Hills team, which is exciting for me because, I don't want to go all season without seeing a team. So this is the first time I get to see Desert Hills. For me, I'm excited to be at this game, to take part of it. But I've seen Pineview. I know what Pineview brings to the table. They're going to be a tough team to beat. Pineview is going to be really, really strong in this game. As a matter of fact, they are going to be arguably, we'll just call it favorites You know, I don't want to say how heavy of favorites, but we'll just say that they're going to be favorites in this game for sure. If we want to take a step back and look at Perry's power guide for this game, just to see what he says about this one, he has Pine View and Desert Hills going at it here. Let me just quickly get to this one. And Desert Hills, Pine View, he has it as Pine View winning it, but closer than it seems. A 0.2 is the differential here. But Desert Hills has struggled. Let's just call it what it is. Desert Hills has struggled this year. And this could be a game where Desert Hills tries to show that there's a little more parity in Region 9, if that is possible. They have to prove something. They've struggled a little bit offensively. They've got to come around on that. The one thing that Pineview has done is struggled defensively, so that actually might be a little bit of a good matchup there. But the defense has come around from where they were at the beginning of the season. The beginning of the year, the defense was struggling very heavily. They've figured that out a little bit more. The offense is still really good. You really do have to worry about this offense. Here's the problem. The running game has gone downhill a little bit, and that's just because your top rusher in Kyle Richardson is been kind of hit or miss. He's really struggled when it comes to his health, and I believe he's had an ankle injury on that right ankle for a while now, and he just seems to be a little bit slower, which is unfortunate. I want to see a 100% healthy Pineview team this year, and he just hasn't been healthy, which is unfortunate for him. But the team is still looking really good. They're one of the top passing teams in Region 9, so you can expect them to throw the ball, and they will do that very well. Garrick Williams has come in as kind of a backup role in some way, but he's taken over the starting minutes at running back, and he's done pretty well. He's a smaller back. He's a little more elusive. He's not as big of a power back, but he's a little smaller guy that can really be elusive and sneaky and still find a way to pick up 5, 6, 7 yards on a single carry. So watch out for that. As for Desert Hills, again, Desert Hills has struggled this year. They really lean their hat on more of their defense than I'd say anything else. I think that's where they can thrive a little bit more. So, for example, like last week, they held Dixie to just 10 points. And they themselves only scored 14, but they held Dixie to 10. So they got to continue to do stuff like that, where the defense shows up and then the offense just has to do their part as well. So that's what we've got with Desert Hills versus Pineview. That game's broadcasting right on the fansportsnetwork.com or on the Fansports Network YouTube page, as well as the next game that we're getting on into, which is Snow Canyon versus Hurricane. Snow Canyon versus Hurricane out in Hurricane. This is a big-time matchup as well. Snow Canyon fell back. Hurricane fell back last week. Hurricane went down to the final play against Pineview. It was a rough go for Hurricane in the final seconds of that game. I'm sure once the game finished that they were sick to their stomach. It was a phenomenal game. They gave their heart and put it on the field. It was so good. But they did come up just short against Pineview. Snow Canyon coming off a loss against Crimson Cliffs. So both of these teams right now are trying to prove that they can hold their spot in region play. Snow Canyon, if they can continue to win on out, they'll just hope for a Crimson Cliffs loss, but even still, Crimson Cliffs would have the tiebreaker. So they're kind of hoping Crimson Cliffs loses a couple more, but we only have 2 games left in the season. So I don't know if they're going to or not. It's going to be tough. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But as for Snow Canyon, staying higher in the RPI is going to be important too, so that you can hopefully get a bye week and then maybe play a lower ranked team in the next week. So Snow Canyon really wants to win this game for that. Hurricane wants to win it just to try to stay higher in the RPI as well. You know, they want to make sure that they're not one of the teams that has to travel in the first week, which is not going to be given at all. I feel like they're one of these teams that are on the cusp. They're close right now. They're in 9th, and the top 8 teams are getting the bye. So Hurricane wants to continue to win to try and stay afloat where they can get that bye week, but they're on the bridge of that. So if they get this win against Snow Canyon, that's what they're playing for, is a bye week through the first week of the playoffs. Snow Canyon, I would say they're still in a good spot to where I wouldn't say they're fighting for that, but in some ways they kind of are. They're realistically probably not going to win the region at this point just because they lost to Crimson Cliffs. I feel like Crimson Cliffs has just about sealed that up. However, they are still fighting for placement in the playoffs. So that's what this game is really important for. This game's also going to be broadcast with the Fan Sports Network crew. You can tune into this one on the radio as well on 99.5 FM, 95.3 as well, and 93.1 in Cedar City. Again, this game, Snow Canyon Hurricane broadcast with the Fan Sports Network, as well as Desert Hills versus Pineview. One final game to get to here, and that's going to be Dixie versus Crimson Cliffs. And this game is going to be one where it's the top team versus the bottom team. Plain and simple. You have a team in Dixie where they have cemented themselves now as the bottom team in the region after they lost to Desert Hills. Not a spot you want to be, but it is a spot that you have to try to, you just have to try to keep on fighting. You just have to keep on fighting, especially when it comes to playoff placement. The more games you win, the more likely it is that you have a little bit better of a matchup. Even if you have to go on the road in week one, hopefully they can find a good matchup and continue to win some games. But Crimson Cliffs being the number one team not in the state, but at least in region play. However, when it comes to RPI, they're still trailing Snow Canyon. But there should be a game that Crimson Cliffs, again, should win when it comes down to it. They are a differential of 30.8 on Perry's Power Guide. So, it's a stretch to say that Dixie has a shot here. I hate to say that. I really do. But maybe they do. Region 9 surprises us every single week. But Crimson Cliffs is definitely going to be the favorite here. I would love to see Dixie maybe try to prove me wrong. That would be really cool. I love it when David beats Goliath in Region 9 football. So that's all the Region 9 for us here. Let's take a quick look as well. I want to take a look here at how things are shaping up in the RPI. So Snow Canyon is in second in the RPI, followed by Crimson Cliffs. The number one team in the state, by the way, is Ridgeline. So they're sitting on top, but then we have three region teams right after that. Snow Canyon 2, Crimson Cliffs 3, Pineview 4. Hurricanes down at 9th, Desert Hills is 17th, and Dixie is 20th. That could switch up after today, but we'll see. I want to give a shout out to some of our other local programs before we move on completely from the world of football. And that is going to be taking a look at Cedar, for example. So Cedar has been playing phenomenal. I mean, an undefeated season. They're just crushing it. Taking on Canyon View right now. They are 27.6 favorites over Canyon View. Home game for Cedar. I believe it's home game for Canyon View. Home game for Canyon View. But I think Cedar's going to take this one. They are playing some phenomenal football. They've moved down to 3A, and they're doing really well. They are doing so well. Let's take a look as well, just to throw out a few more that are close to home. Beaver's a favorite over Parowan in 2A. You have just going to go through here just to see if there's any others on the list. Enterprise and Kanab are facing off. Kanab's a heavy favorite over Enterprise as well. 35.7 is the differential there in some 2A football. All right, let's continue on here. Getting out of high school, and we're going to move on into college sports. We've got Utah Tech Athletics. Utah Tech is on the road at Central Arkansas. Now, Utah Tech in this game against Central Arkansas, again, nothing is given, but these are two teams that are sitting in very similar positions right now. Two teams that are a little bit lower in the UAC, trying to continue to fight for some spots here. Central Arkansas themselves have struggled against teams this year as much as Utah Tech has. And so they're also 1-4. They're also looking to get some wins. Their only win came to a smaller school in UA Pine Bluff, a school I've never heard of, but they got destroyed by Missouri. They got destroyed by Tarleton State, Sacramento State, and then played a good game against Lamar. But what can they do in UAC play against Utah Tech? I think this is going to be a great game. So tune on in. That's tomorrow, Saturday. 3 p.m. is the kickoff. You can listen to it here on the Fan Sports Network. I'm expecting some big things from Utah Tech in this one. I think this could very well be a Utah Tech win. They haven't been favored in any games this year, but they are on the cusp of it right here against Central Arkansas. I'm excited for this one. Should be a really, really fun matchup, and we'll see how they do. We'll see how Utah Tech can do. Again, that's 3 o'clock right here on the Fan Sports Network. You can listen in on the radio at 3. Pregame starts at 2 o'clock. Myself, Devin Dixon, we're going to be bringing you some pregame coverage, and that'll be at 2 o'clock right here on the Fan, listening in on the radio. All right, let's move on. SUU, we got SUU football in action as well. So let's take a look at that as they are going to be taking on Tarleton State, the number 1 team in the UAC, number 3 overall, and it is going to be tough. To put it plain and simple, this is a tough game for SUU. I expect them to fall to 1-5 after this game. Tarleton is just that good. It's at 5 o'clock. It is out of town. It's in Stephenville, Texas. And again, I expect it. It's going to be a loss. Tarleton State is just too good of a team. SUU's bringing a lot of firepower. They're continuing to bring good competition to just about every single game, but they continue to fall short time and time again. And it's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes when it comes down to it in FCS football, you play up to a lot of opponents. Sometimes you're playing FBS opponents or just really, really good FCS opponents in your non-conference schedule. That's just to try to get a little bit more experience, I guess is the word. Get some experience under your belt. And that's what they're trying to do. So we'll see. We'll see how they do with this one. I do want to go back to Utah Tech for just a moment because I do want to throw out some volleyball here, as last night volleyball was in action against Cal Baptist. They won that one in 3 sets. They are going to play again tomorrow. Utah Tech is at home tomorrow. This is a noon game, and it's a Think Pink game. So if you got pink and you're going to go to this one, wear some pink against UVU. Very important game as well, because Utah Valley and Utah Tech battling it out for the top spots in volleyball. So that's going to be another great game. All right, let's continue on. We have Utah Mammoth. They get their first win at home against the LA Kings last night, and it wasn't any sort of a barn burner by any means, but it was still a really good game, and it was nice to see what the home ice looks like at the Delta Center, and to see that the lower bowl is complete. To see that there's fans sitting all around the lower bowl was kind of cool. It was kind of nice to see. So Utah Mammoth get their first win. It's still preseason. They only have one more preseason game left. That's going to be tomorrow, and that's at 6 o'clock tomorrow against San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are actually going to be in Las Vegas tonight. They're taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. It's the Knights' final pregame matchup tonight. So you got the Knights with the Sharks. Last night, Kings and Mammoth. One final game for each of these teams. This is the last pregame for Vegas Golden Knights before they get their regular season started, and that's going to be on Wednesday. So expect that Wednesday, October 8th, and the Utah Mammoth will start on October 9th. So that's what we got coming up for us this weekend in some hockey, and congrats to the Mammoth for getting their first preseason win as well. All right, as we continue on here, one last bit to get to, as you can see on the side of your screen if you're watching on YouTube, and that is the Raiders versus the Colts. And yes, Southern Utah, St. George, we are in Raider territory. If you're not a Raider fan, that's okay. We're still going to talk some Raider football. They're close to home, and listen, if you want to go down and drive to a game and come back home, it's super easy to do. I've done it multiple times now. Raiders are our team, whether we like it or not. So, I mean, you Raider fans out there, I know you love having them close, and they've been around long enough now. They're our team too. So we're talking a little bit of Raider football. I will say the Colts are going to be a tough team for them to beat. This game between the Raiders and the Colts it's going to be one of those where I feel like the Raiders do still somewhat have a shot. I want to say they somewhat have a shot. The Colts, are they contenders or are they pretenders? That's the big question right now. Indy holds the line 6.5-point favorites over the Raiders. Okay. Fair, considering it's in Indianapolis. The Raiders have struggled this season, and the Colts are winning games. I do think that the Colts probably win this one, but I want to see the Raiders put up a fight. I want to see maybe an upset win would be cool, but at the very least, I just want to see them come out and play strong. And we'll see. They have had a lot of injuries. You've got Brock Bowers that was on the injury list and was extremely limited this week. I don't even think he participated yesterday. Plus, you've got guys that are also struggling lately. I mean, both of the tight ends, Mayer was out and Brock Bowers was out through practice this week. So we'll see if those guys are going to be back in action or not. And we all want to see Ashton Genty get that running game going. Jonathan Taylor's getting it done for the Colts. That's going to be a big key in this one, is to see who can get the run game going. And I want to see Ashton Genty start to get that rolling a little bit. And I also want to see Geno Smith with less turnovers. I think that's really a big one as well. So, all right, that wraps it up for the Southern Utah Sports Report. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back again on Monday, so tune in and subscribe wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We're always happy to bring you some sports content here at the Fan Sports Network, especially local Utah, Southern Utah sports content, as we are Southern Utah's home for local high school sports and Utah Tech athletics. So thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with more on Monday. And until then, have a good one.